Hello, my name is Gary Gear, the first board president of the local Gigi's Playhouse. I am honored to be here to talk about the road we took to establish a playhouse in the Quad Cities and the early years running our playhouse. But let me start first with why my wife Juanita and I became a part of Gigi's Playhouse. The main reason we got involved was Caitlin, our youngest daughter. She was born with Down syndrome in 1995. We reviewed the overall Gigi's Playhouse mission, and it really resonated with us. Gigi's Playhouse is committed through their national awareness campaigns, educational programming, etc., to be a catalyst for positive change by giving a voice to children with Down syndrome and their siblings and their families and their communities. For me, there was also a second reason. You see, one of my older sisters, Cindy, was born with intellectual disabilities. Growing up, I was familiar with the stares Cindy received from other people when my family went out in public, to stores, restaurants, and during our summer camping trips throughout the United States. Stares that said to me, "What is she doing here?" And I was also familiar with another, more extreme behavior special needs children have to endure: bullying. Studies show 3 out of 4 children with special needs will be bullied at one point in their lives. I saw this firsthand. And there's one episode that particularly stands out for me. I was 6 or 7 years old when my mom took me aside and told me I needed to do something about one of the neighborhood kids who was bullying my sister Cindy. In other words, for the first and only time in my life, my mom was giving me permission to fight, to get into a fight. Shortly afterwards, the kids started picking on my sister, and I stepped in. It wasn't much of a fight. I shut him hard to the ground, and that was the end of the fight and the bullying. Getting involved with Gigi's Playhouse gave me the opportunity I needed to attack head-on this lack of public acceptance of people who are different. My wife and I are very proud of our role in helping to establish a Gigi's Playhouse in the Quad Cities. Quite frankly, I consider getting our playhouse up and running to be the most significant professional achievement of my life. But I must emphasize there are many others involved as well. It was truly a team effort to start the Quad City Playhouse. So let me start first with the landlords. KJJ Development. They leased to us a 2,000 square foot empty storefront, which is part of their John Deere Plaza building off of John Deere Road in Moline. As president on July 15th, 2011, I boldly signed a 3-year lease with them. I say boldly because with roughly $10,000 in the bank and anticipating our monthly rent to be around $2,400, we would effectively run out of money in 5 months unless we had fundraisers to bring in additional funds. And here I was signing a 3-year lease on behalf of our playhouse. But KJJ Development did something amazing. In the lease, they waived the rent for the first 6 months. And then for the rest of the 3-year lease, they gave us a substantial discount so that our rent was just under $1,920 per month. Who does that? Cash flow in a small business operation is critical. KJJ Development evidently knew this, and these rent reprieves and discounts helped us tremendously to stay afloat. The second group consisted of painters, carpenters, cabinet makers, play equipment donors, sound equipment, and the corresponding setup and cleaners. We needed to turn an empty store into a warm, inviting place where everyone was welcome and no judgments were made. Plus, the corporate offices had facility requirements that had to be met for us to be part of the Gigi's Playhouse family. For instance, we had to have a raised stage, so we had to build one. We had to have music playing all the time when we were open, so a sound system needed to be installed and set up, and so on. This group of selfless individuals made it happen from May, a month or two before we signed the lease in July, to October 1st, when we had our grand opening. The third key group was the first board of managers. These board members toiled countless hours tackling a myriad of tasks. For instance, we had to figure out fundraising and budgets. I remember in those early years, we held two major fundraising events, the gala in late February and the Gigi's Playhouse Walk on the first Saturday in October. However, invariably, when July and August rolled around, we would be running extremely low on funds. We typically had less than $2,000 in the bank. At those moments, I thought I might have to write a personal check to cover some expenses or pass the hat at a monthly board meeting to collect donations. And in that vein, let me give you a little known fact. At our first gala, which was held at the Outing Club in February 2012, the board did pass the hat to collect money to buy an expensive piece of jewelry as one of the big ticket items to auction off. Fortunately, by September each year, enough money would start flowing in with registration fees for the walk to get us to a healthy cash position again. And then the board was also involved with recruiting volunteers. I mean, we were starting from scratch to conduct tutoring lessons and age group programs. And in some cases, the board members actually led those group programs, developing the program content themselves. Then the fourth group, that was a key part of our startup group, is that when we started the Gigi's Playhouse, we did not have a single employee. And even now, 10 years later, we only have two. So we cannot run the wide range of programs we offer without volunteers. There are tutors that are working weekly with kids and adults with Down syndrome to improve their literacy and math skills. We started in January 2012 by offering an 8-week literacy program specifically designed by Gigi's Playhouse for how individuals with Down syndrome learn to read. And we were one of the first playhouses to offer the newly developed 8-week math program in the spring of 2013. Other volunteers helped us run existing Playhouse social programs like Friday Friends. Now they're called Fantastic Friends for teens and adults. There's a 2 and under group, and the Hop, Skip, and Jumpers was the name of the 3 to 5 year olds. Additional volunteers came to us with programs they wanted to run. One of the first such programs was a group of St. Ambrose occupational therapy students who ran a fine motor program in the summer of 2012. We had kids learning to tie their shoes for the first time. The list goes on and on. The point is, volunteers are essential. But there's one individual that I really need to highlight out of all our volunteers, and that's Michelle Hughes. Michelle was the driver in getting the Playhouse, Gigi's Playhouse, in the Quad Cities. She made the initial contacts with Nancy Gianni, founder of Gigi's Playhouse, and served as our main liaison with the corporate offices. Michelle was part of the Upside of Down Syndrome family group, of which Juanita and I were also part of, that provided us with our startup capital of $10,000, a requirement for us to become an official Gigi's Playhouse. And let me just tell you one story about Michelle, which I think gives you really a sense of who she is. Michelle willingly gave up a lucrative job to take on the full-time role without pay as our first site coordinator. It was at least 6 months before we had the funds to pay her, and even then, her salary was not up to what she was making in her previous job. Who does that? This shows the commitment Michelle made to get Gigi's Playhouse in the Quad Cities. And by the way, Michelle now works as a member of the Gigi's Playhouse headquarters team. Finally, I need to mention all of you, the donors. You have been with us every step of the way these last 10 years. In some cases, you have held your own events to raise funds for the Playhouse. Local school events, Knights of Columbus, yearly Tootsie Roll Drive, a certain percentage of restaurant receipts on a given day, and numerous other events have all contributed significant funds to the Playhouse. It has been amazing to see how you have embraced us with your generous financial support.